All right, let's call this meeting to order. We'll first start with roll call, and we'll just do introductions running around the table.
Dennis Kent, about Grand Region Plan.
Oh, Ken, I'm done.
Tom Arms, you want Township?
Heather Bowden, MDOT statewide planning. Sorry, I've been gone for a while, but now I'm back.
Ryan Novotny, Max Transit. Russ Deslav, Holland Charter Township.
John Yunker, Fillmore Township.
Tom Bird at large.
Frank Garcia, Ottawa County Road Commission.
Jason Latham here at the MACC.
Nathan Bach, City of Holland.
Jacob Bonema, County Commission.
Jim Story at large, 2017 of Fort Phillips Township, and welcome.
Thanks for having us, man. Alvin Heiss, Ottawa Township.
Jim Gerard, Park Township.
Kevin Kleinster, City of Zeeland.
Mandy Cooper at large.
Alec Miller from Matt.
Judy Bishop with the MACC.
Eric Dexter with Mac.
And Judy, we've got a quorum, do we?
Yes, we have one.
All right, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to address the MAC at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment period. Oh, yep, oh, thank you. And then need a motion to approve minutes from last month's meeting.
Support.
Got moved from Al and got support from Tom Ock. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, transportation program.
All right, thank you.
That's easy.
Yeah, jumping into the transportation. We got a lot of stuff going on, which is good. And Alec is going to start us off on the tip amendments.
So, today we have two tip amendments. The first is job number 214268. This is a new side path job in Park Township. Brian and Newhoff reached out to me a couple weeks ago to let me know that their estimates came back a lot lower, about $75,000, which is always good. So I programmed the project for the decrease, which triggered an amendment. And then we now have this extra $75,000 of carbon reduction funding. But since it's so late in the fiscal year, you can't move it to another year. It has to stay in 25. And there weren't a lot of eligible jobs for this money to go to. So Max Transit graciously said, we'll take the $75,000 off your hand, which was so happy they could do that for us.
We're happy to help.
Always going out of their way to help us. So that created the new job number 224592, which is going to go towards a bus purchase. It's pretty straightforward on that. Any comments, questions, concerns? All right. None. Ask for a motion and a support, please.
I make a motion to approve the 2023-2026 tip amendments as presented.
Support.
Any further comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
And then opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. So next is our big old safety action plan. So I believe it was this time last year we got awarded the Safe Streets for All grant. We chose AECom as the consultant, and after a year of hard work, the safety action plan is finally done, and it is a beaut of a document. It's really nice. This document is such a valuable tool for our community to have, so I really want to emphasize just how great it was to do this. It feels like we've been working on this forever because it took forever to apply for the grant and then to find out that we got the grant and then select our consultant for the grant, and now we have the safety action plan. If you remember last month, Pam Blazo from AECom, she came and she explained the document. I also attached a link in the packet, so hopefully everybody could view it. I don't even have to say hopefully because I know every single one of you read every single page. That's what I love about this group, is we all do our homework. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, the Safety Action Plan was approved by TAC, So we just have to move it here to policy to be finally approved, and then all of our communities can get going and we can get some safety plans. So if no comments, questions, need a motion for that one as well.
I make a motion to approve the MACC Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan as presented.
All right, we got a motion and support. Any further comments? All right, no further comments. All in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. And then opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big accomplishment.
There are a lot of people that did a lot of work on that too,
Okay.
to make that a reality. So that was great.
Hope everyone's doing all right.
Before we get going, who did the motion support for the Fifth Amendment?
We got Mandy and Jim.
Yes. Yeah. Right?
Thank you.
Oh, that was tip amendment for the first one?
He did the Safe Streets. Okay, we're all confused now.
Did you do the tip of it?
Yeah, we did. I think Kevin made the motion,
Yeah.
Okay.
We voted on it.
and then the support was by.
Oh yeah, I'm going through all of them in my head.
Somebody over here.
Okay, I'm going.
I'll go down in history as supporting that motion.
All right, I'm going to be quiet.
All right, we're all good. All good. Okay. So great time to talk about this. This is hopeful approval of the non-motorized plan, which is our 2025 active transportation plan. This was approved by our technical advisory committee 2 weeks ago. So we're looking for the same from policy, but I just wanted to run through a few slides to highlight some of the main 30,000 foot view items in here that I think are very important. So as you can see, that's our mission, our vision statement for the document. And then we as a group came up with 5 priorities for the MACC, things we're going to be pushing in the next few years. So the first thing, addressing the field deficiencies we found when we were out raiding the pass. So these are pretty easy things, most of them, to take care of. Things like pooling water, tree roots might be a little more difficult to take care of those. So ponding water, some paths were actually underwater. There's a lot of erosion on some of them, runner grasses, etc. So that would be the first priority that we're going to push, probably the easiest one out of the 5. Second would be to repave all 1 and 2 rated paths. So these are poor and very poor paths around the area, and there's a map attached to this. So 7% of the system is rated as poor or very poor in the area. And of course, we're going to push for urbanized areas first because they generally have more users. Third would be application of pavement markings and safety enhancements. So as you can see, the red dots are street crossings that do not have any crosswalk paint. So that would be something easy. We'll of course work with the road commission and the local municipality where those take place. So I want to say it's like 30% don't have paint. So this is important, of course. If you're riding a bike, motorists are aware that there's a bike path there or a sidewalk. And you can see it, it's really in the rural areas where you have a lot of these that aren't painted. So I know that whole Beeline Trail going through Lake Town, I don't think there's much paint down there, 147th. So, and again, we've reached out to all the municipalities to talk about this stuff through our follow-up meetings afterwards. And then we've identified a few locations that are probably going to need a hawk signal or a rapid flashing beacon for safety. Fourth would be closing the system gaps. So we've prioritized these into low, medium, and high priority. So red would be high priority. And then some of the gaps that we saw. So of course the east-west connector in Holland is very important. They just stop kind of near the city limits most of the time. So really it's getting people through Holland and Zeeland, the actual city propers, which would be pretty high priorities for us. And then also on here you'll see some hawk and rapid flashing beacon location suggestions. We kind of prioritized US Bike Route 35, which many of you are aware goes from Grand Haven, well actually it starts in Sault Ste. Marie, but in our area it starts at the Grand Haven Port Sheldon Township line and goes all the way down to Saugatuck Township, Laketown Township line, down by Dunes, Dunes U gas station down there. So this is like our interstate highway through our region. So we're kind of starting here to suggest some enhancements along the corridor. Really the main areas where there's a lot of hiccups would be the river, Pine, you know, right by the river, the bridge, the Unity Bridge up there. So, and then getting through Holland. So I actually did a sign audit on Thursday. I drove the entire route and counted the signs and what they said. And we need a lot more signs. I'll just tell you that right now. I think we have 20 signs total, 20 or 30. And you're talking, this thing is, if you're talking both directions, it's probably 70 miles. So just like an interstate highway, you know, you need your confirmation signs to tell the walker or the biker, hey, you're going north on this bike route, or you're going south, or it turns here, that kind of stuff. So I have all that kind of eked out. That'll be a separate document. Fifth priority would be widening 7 and 8 foot wide paths. So 8 foot is the AASHTO standard. Unless there's a path on both sides of the road, then it would be a 6 foot standard. Of course, we will prioritize the urbanized areas first. Generally have most of the users. So there's a map there. So 24 miles of the system, just over 10% is 6 or 7 foot wide. So for this plan, we did a lot of outreach. We met with all the members, either in person, most of them in person, some by email, like the road commissions. We held 2 open houses. We had a public comment period for a month. So we had the 2 open houses. One was in Zeeland on March 5th and one in Holland on March 19th. So we had 34 attendees between the 2, which we were pretty impressed with. So some of the things that we received from the public would be reverting some of the more underused paths to pea gravel or limestone, improving the wayfinding along the pass, starting of course with US Bike Route 35 and then going down to the regional trails. Interpretive signs, so things like history, unique facts, cultural things, and then kind of pushing the local municipalities to adopt the plan. And really not underselling our area to tourists. I mean, as we all know, if you're spending thousands of dollars on a bicycle, you have a lot of disposable income to spend in our community. So I think we should really capture that a little better. And then, of course, the proverbial no safe crossing over the business loop, US 31 or 196. I'm not going to go over all these, but our area is growing. Everything's been mapped and inventoried. We have over 500 miles of bike lanes, sidewalks, side paths, wide paved shoulders, over 4 feet or over, I mean. So priority again would be US Bike Route 35, and then the regional trails. I think speed limit signs and wayfinding signs are really high up for a lot of the municipalities that we talk to, getting all in the same system. So a lot of people don't know when they're crossing municipal lines. So I think having one standard sign would be really good for our area. So max transit, 20% of the bus stops that were currently, so the current bus stops, that's what we use for analysis. So 20% of those don't have a concrete waiting pad or a sidewalk or side path near them. So I always go back to middle of January, snow everywhere, how's someone getting to work? What can we do to maybe enhance their trip on the bus? So again, we want to stress the equity and access to all the things that make our area great. So the parks, the nature, having access to groceries, medical, major employers, etc. This top statistic shocked me a little bit. So about half of the large employers, which have over 100 employees, don't have access to a MACC transit bus stop or a sidewalk or side path or bike lane. So that's something as a region we really have to figure out. I mean, the first step out of poverty is getting a good job and being able to get to your work. So, and we thank Lakeshore Advantage for providing the list of employers. So for crashes, there were 623 crashes the past 10 years of recordable data that we found. So 21 fatalities and 84 serious injuries. So that is, you're leaving in an ambulance from the scene of the accident. So we can do better there. We're 11% higher than the statewide average. And another big thing would be ADA plates at all the railroad crossings. I think only half have ADA plates. So those are those tactile, I think it's Tough Tile is the brand that we use. They're metal plates. Yeah, so we had to standardize the state data per 100,000 residents. And we have just over 100,000, so we just interpolated pretty much that data, if that makes sense. So I checked the numbers with Luke Walters, and our MDOT representative, and he said they were good. So.
There's no data like miles driven?
No, it's just based on population. Yeah. So yeah, you could get real into the weeds if you really wanted to dive further into the data, but we kept it pretty basic, just based on population.
When you talk about railroad crossing, that's not CSX's responsibility, that's ours?
It's the municipality, yeah. Is that correct? I think it's the municipality. Yeah.
Are the crashes localized or are they more spread out?
So the pedestrian ones are more, they're on a lot of arterial roads. They're more in the urban areas. And of course you have a better chance of survival on a bike. I don't have the maps with me, but generally they're kind of more in the populated areas. Yeah.
Specific intersections more so than others, or?
It's kind of all over the place. Yeah, I wish I had the map with me because I could show you guys. But, it is in the document. There's a couple maps in there. Okay. Those pictures have nothing to do with, I just thought they were nice and we took them. So Belt here on the left and window on the waterfront on the right from last year. So we plan on rating all the side paths every other year. So next year we'll go out again and we're going to build the database and it'll help direct the non-motorized funds to the appropriate projects. We are in discussion internally about rating some of the shared use paths. So that would be like the Upper MACC Trail, window on the waterfront, pathway, things like that. And then this plan will be updated every 5 years. So 2030 is the next time for this. I will be happy to answer any questions. This document's online right now and it is in print in our office. So after hopeful approval, I'll make an appendix and then I can put it to bed for a while. But this was a major undertaking. We received no help from consultants, so this was all in-house. We developed this whole plan, so we're pretty proud of it, I would say.
Nice job. Eric spent a lot of time on this, so.
Probably too much. Nights, weekends, whatever, you know.
Couldn't
My
be
wife's
more
like, what are you
impressed.
doing at 9 o'clock? Working on this plan. I said, it's got to be done.
Got to get it done.
So,
Yeah, so just that quick recap, 2014 was the last time that the MACC did that plan, and we were supposed to update it in 2019. That was the loose commitment that was in that plan. And if I'm not mistaken, that was over a $200,000 contract to a consultant to get that done, and that's in 2014 dollars. So to be able to get this done with this team, Eric leading that charge, well done. Well done.
this is our first try at it, our first stab. Of course, the next one will be better, but we think this one's pretty good so far.
Yeah. I think it's state of the art. I think this is what other communities are going to use to benchmark, because it has the data, it has the information, and it really does help the users, the members, whoever owns the system, helps kind of direct their next, prioritize their purchases.
Yeah,
Going
I actually had a full head of hair before I started this.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And no gray either. You know, I was looking young, but
So Eric, with this.
yes.
If we adopt this individually as this, we adopt this, like the city of Zeeland and Holland. So does that help the cities and the townships get grants if we adopt this plan, or does it or is it better that helps you guys get more grants?
I think both of us.
Both?
Yeah, because I think it gives it more weight if the municipalities adopt it as well. And I want to add, we incorporated elements from all the existing municipal plans as well. So Holland has one, Zeeland has one, I think Zeeland Township and Holland Township has one as well. So, and elements from a master plan, if they included non-motorized language. So we really did research everything that we could. MDOT too, we have some stuff from your Grand Region plan. So I think grants, yes, absolutely. And then more funding possibly from federal CPG money. We can direct more resources to this.
Good.
So I think it'd be a good thing for the municipalities to adopt.
Eric, I think you've done a commendable job of gathering data. To me, an active transportation plan builds on that and says, here's how we solve the problems. For example, with accidents and fatalities for bicyclists and pedestrians, is there a next step where we analyze each of the individual incidents and try to figure out what we could do better to improve that or keep it from happening again?
Yeah, we could do that. That is going to be a lot of work, and I'm up for the challenge. I mean, I like to be on the ground and figure out what's going on. We're actually doing our intersection analysis too. So any signalized intersection in our region that has a sidewalk or side path on one of the corners will be analyzed for countdowns, general safety, paint, everything like that. So that's in the process. We've already done half of them. And that includes flying a drone over 50 meters to get that bird's eye view of the intersection too.
And we do have our safety action plan as well. That's
Yeah.
the nice thing about both of these, complement one another, because we do know where our high injury network is. We do know our high injury intersections as well. So with that baseline data, now you can start, focusing on those particular intersections. And obviously that's up to the road owner and their design team, their traffic safety engineers. But at least you have the data, and we can say, here's a concentration of accidents, whether it's pedestrian, bicycle, or just vehicular. And you can start making, what's the right thing to do. And we did that for the safety action plan. We gave some, here's an intersection improvement example, here's another intersection improvement example that has safety benefit if it were implemented. We're not saying you have to implement it, but at least it's starting that process so it gets people thinking and analyzing.
And the intersection analysis will include crash data as well. So anything that happened within, let's just say 100 feet of that intersection will be kind of analyzed. So we can dive into those. It's just clicking the UD10 report from the state and figuring out maybe the factors that cause that. So, and you can sort all the data. It's just a lot of data. I mean, I want to say there were 33,000 crashes in our region in the past 10 years. So there's just a lot of data to sift through, and it's prioritizing your workload, So, but I have time now that I'm done with this, so maybe I can hop into the this was all encompassing. It really was for quite a while. So, any other questions, comments from anyone?
All right,
then
so
we
we're
would
looking
just
for
be
that
looking
motion.
for approval.
Make a motion to approve the 2025 active transportation plan as presented.
All right. And we got support. Any final questions, comments? All right, all in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. All right, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Nice job.
Okay, nice segue into this. So next week, we're going to put out our first non-motorized count. So this is a pedestrian counter that we purchased through CPG money. So we're going to put this at 26 different locations around the region. So we've taken requests from our members. Some of them came up with some didn't, so we just kind of filled in the gaps. But you'll see it's kind of all spread out around the area. So we're not going to count by a school in the middle of July. We're counting near all the schools when school's actually in session. And we divided these up based on percentage of the total mileage that a municipality has. So Holland Township has the most, they get the most counts. Park is next, they get the second most. But everyone gets 2 counts at least, so. I kind of picked these locations just based on anecdotal evidence of a lot of usage. So yeah, we're gonna go out every week. It's gonna be me most of the time, fiddling around with the banding on this thing. So if you see this out there, don't mess with it, please. Tell your crews that's what it is, but.
It's not the easiest thing to put up, but we're getting better at putting it up.
So it's infrared. So it's going to count combined. You can count bicyclists separately if you have the tubes, but there's liability issues there if people trip over them or whatnot. So we're just doing combined counts this first year. That may be something we roll out some other time, but it really, whenever you pass it, it just counts 1 for a person or a dog. Well, actually, the dogs might not make it. It has to sit 3 feet off the ground. So if it's a big dog, it might make it.
So if you see it outside your office, don't be disappointed. Your count's up.
Yeah, it has a little camera on the side, that is the infrared camera. So if this looks good, again, these have both been through TAC. So they approved this, and it's off to policy now. Any questions on that?
This seems to me, this kind of data, along with like the crash data that you have, seems like a great thing for artificial intelligence to crunch a lot of that information for you.
Yeah. Then I'd be out of a job.
Or you can have it do the dumb work for you, and then you can just analyze what it tells you.
I'm sure
and take credit.
And take credit for it, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be working at 9 at night. So yeah, this data will be very helpful just to kind of get a baseline of, and we have to double check some of these numbers when they come out. Like we will have to sit at a location and say there were actually 8 people that passed between 12 and 1. So we're going to have to validate some of the data just to make sure it's correct.
Yeah, I think the limited funding that we have, we just want to make sure that when we're making decisions that we have that data behind it to help prioritize, what are we doing and why are we doing it? Well, this is the intersection that had the most accidents. This is where we have the most pedestrian. You just start filling in all those boxes, and it helps you make good, sound decisions with the limited funding that we have.
Yeah, and we have to kind of scout all these locations too, because you can't put it just anywhere. Right. There can't be vegetation moving around. It can't face the street. So we could never do bike lanes, users of a bike lane. It has to sit in that side yard, kind of between the street and the sidewalk or side path.
On a pole that's not too big and not too small.
It can't be too big. The U-channel poles, they're not friendly to this generally. So it kind of has to be a light pole is the best that we found, without electric running up it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But if no other questions, we're just looking for a motion.
I did have a question. It's been a number of years since I've been in this world. Is it typical standard to have 5, like the MPOs that I used to work with in another life, they always wanted to do like 5 years worth of count data to normalize it versus, your 3-year standard traffic. Is that still kind of the case?
I don't know about that.
I know I haven't read an ASTRO guide in a long time.
Right. We are just keep building that database. So
and filling the gaps.
We just want to get those baseline, that information.
Yeah.
And we were working with MDOT and some other folks, just with cell phone data and other tracking, like people have their Garmin's and this, that, and the other thing. There's a lot of other data out there
that you can pull
we
in.
can actually potentially use, or we can use it to validate the data that we have. So
Yeah.
There's a
Cool.
lot there that we just plan on building. I mean, but until you have that network, that framework, and your spreadsheet,
Yeah.
you can't build on it, but now we have something that we can start building.
And is this 100% scientific? Probably not, but it's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like rating a road. Like, you could have 3 people in the same car, and one says this number, and so it's kind of
That's why
like.
I always say 4.
So we are looking for a motion if there's no other questions or comments.
I move to approve the non-motorized count list as presented.
Support?
All right, got a movement and support. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. All in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you.
You're almost done with me. Okay, one more thing. Traffic count. So AECom is going to be our, they're going to collect our traffic counts after tulip time, of course, this in May. 55 locations. They came in way lower than the other ones, so we'll see if they do a good job or not. It was kind of shocking how low they were. Maybe they're just trying to get our business. I don't know. These are all correct. Of course, the same thing with the non-motorized. We solicited locations from our members and MDOT. So this is kind of what we came up with. The only one that's going to change is Van Raalte north of 32nd, because that's under reconstruction this summer. So that's actually going to be moved at the request of Holland to 16th Street between Hoover and 31. So dealing with all that Menards, Culvers, all that kind of traffic over there. I can attest that area is crazy. I'm over there all the time. It's very busy. So I don't know if Menards did the best planning when they put in their property there. So again, end of May, these will be collected, and then we'll have the results. They'll be shipped off to MDOT. And I forgot to mention the non-motorized counts will go to MDOT as well, because they're constructing a whole database. I think it's already in progress. Any questions on traffic count locations? No questions, so we will just look for a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the traffic count list.
Thank you, Frank.
Support.
Support. All right, got movement and support. Any further comments or questions? All right, hearing none. All in favor, respond by saying aye. Aye. And then opposed, same sign. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Very good. All right. Next up, MDOT comments. Did any MDOT?
I could provide one here. Just so folks are familiar, I think last meeting or the meeting before, we approved a TIP amendment for retaining wall work on the business loop 196 a little east of US 31. Now that that's through this process, approved, we're rapidly moving forward with designing that project, likely to construct next year. It's not a rebuild of anything major, it's just stabilizing the one of the bounds of 196 that's pretty darn close to MACC River there. So that'll be rapidly getting designed and ready to go out next year, so just something to be aware of and provide updates when that's going on. Aside from that, I'm sure Heather's got a lot of information on a new tip and stip.
Well, you just made me think of, amendments. There has been some changes at FHWA and FTA as far as staff levels, and we have been informed that amendments, UWPs, TIPs, STIPs, might take a little bit longer for review time, so I strongly encourage everyone to get your change requests in as soon as possible, so that amendments can go in smoothly and as quickly as we possibly can work with our partners to get approved. It's going to be a little bit of a rough ride here over the next few months to see how things shake out. But I guess I just urge patience to everyone, and that's all I'll say about it. And then as far as the STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, you guys are diligently working on your TIP for the MPO and getting that through. We are working on our statewide TIP, which encompasses all of the rural areas, the RTF program, the small urban program, the rural CMAC, local bridge, what am I thinking of? Oh, local safety out in the rural areas, as well as all of our anticipated trunk line projects for 26 through 29. We have and thank you to the hard work of MACC, we have, and all of our partners across the state, we have all of our projects programmed in JobNet, which is our software system where we house all of those projects. And they are currently live up through a GIS application. You guys know more about that than I do. But you can currently go to what we're calling the Michigan Transportation Project Portal. And we have a draft STIP tab, which lists all of our program projects. And everyone is able to click on that line or that point where the project is located and provide comments. And that will include all of your MPO TIP projects as well. So we're encouraging all of the MPOs to use that as an outreach tool, but also if folks want to go in and look at the rural areas and the projects that are anticipated to be funded within those years and want to provide comments on that, that is available as well. And that is open now, and it will probably remain open, forever until all the projects are constructed and on the ground. But then what will be happening is we take all those projects, perform various types of analysis, very much in the same way that you are doing for your TIPs, and put together a compiled document. And that compiled document will be available for public comment the month of July, is what we're shooting for. So that's what I've been spending all of my nights and weekends right now, is getting that document finalized and out the door and approved by our federal partners in a timely manner. So.
Yeah, our tip will be for you guys in June 2nd. Is that our special meeting? So that's
okay.
That's what that'll be here for. So we're working on getting that up and running. All right, and obviously Federal Highway's not here, but I did talk to them this morning, so they definitely took a hit on their number of employees. I think it was the Michigan division's probably almost half what it was. So they're working through reassigning responsibilities and duties, but had a good conversation, and they were very helpful this morning and was able to get stuff done. But you can tell that it's a daunting task. It's just asking a question. They have to go through, whose responsibility and where does that go, and can I get this to you? And I mean, you can see it, feel it real time when you're asking them. So I can only imagine how difficult that is trying to go through that. But they're very helpful this morning and through some things done. So, all right, jumping next to the administrative update. First thing, financial report. We're halfway through the fiscal year, and our CPG, we're looking pretty good. We're about 60%, which is really right where I want to be, because I know I tell you guys all the time that we do want to expend those funds, because no sense in moving federal dollars with the feds when there's good things that we can use that funding for here. But we're right on track. Nothing out of the ordinary. I think our AECOM, we're getting pretty close to that. We just had another billing come through, so that percentage will go up quite a bit. We're at 67% of that contract. And this obviously just showing the federal dollars up to date up through March. So things are going well. I do have next up my exec committee. Maybe I'll go from my financial report. I'll go straight down to the exec committee update. that number 5 there. MDOT had a independent commission audit review of our financials for 21, 22, and 23, those 3 fiscal years. And MDOT believes they've overpaid the MACC by $76,000. So it's funny because they haven't put together a very detailed analysis of what they did. However, they worked with Chris, our finance manager, and the independent auditors. This wasn't MDOT, so their independent auditors worked with Chris, and then Chris brought Doug in, our auditor as well, and they basically agreed to disagree. But MDOT still said, well, we're siding with our independent audit, and it's $76,000. Do you want to just send us cash or a check? And I said, how about we sit down and we really go through this? So I requested a further review to basically said I don't agree with findings. And we're going to sit down, I believe, I want to say May 20. And if not, it's June 20. It's one of those, it took a while to get this meeting set. But I'll have Chris there, there'll be 3 or 4 folks from MDOT, and we'll just go through it. And right now, I think what we feel the problem is that when Chris puts in our reimbursement to the state, he backs out our fringe benefits and some other things, and then they apply the indirect rate on top of what's left. So what Chris said is they shouldn't do that because they're double dipping, but their auditors say, no, that's how the process works. So once we sit down and meet with them, we'll figure out exactly what the process is and what we should do, but we're following their spreadsheet and their direction that we've been following for probably 10 years. So this is a new way of looking at things that we've never looked at it that way before. So there'll be more to come on that, but I'm looking forward to putting that to bed because that's been a thorn in my side for the last 6 weeks, 4 weeks for sure. But like I said, more to come on that. I'll go back up to number 1 there, just really quick. You guys probably all know that Earned Sick Time Act passed, so we need to update our employee handbook. It's very minimal, no big deal for us. We already offer PTO, and we offer the more than what the minimum is required for sick time, so we're good. The single source planning tool, I brought that up too. That's something Paul Sachs and I went to Grand Rapids and met with our counterparts up there. They had a nice planning tool that took all the local municipalities' master plans and kind of boiled it down to just one map. So economic developers and the public could kind of get a big picture. What does it look like countywide, and where could I potentially invest? What are areas that look like maybe a single-family home development or other types of development? Where would they work best? And the nice thing is that was really focused with Grand Valley did is they focused with the townships and cities first to get their feedback, and then say, how do we want to put this together so people can see a bigger picture. So we think there's some opportunity there with developing something within the MACC area, and then maybe we could extend it to the full county. But really, it's just a tool to help people understand what the land use strategies are out there, what each township and each city, what they're thinking, and then put it together. So more to come on that as well. The other thing that I've been working on quite a bit recently is our community enhancement program. Wanted to run by them our process that we follow in the CEP. And what I did is asked a couple questions about how our process works, and are we on the up and up? Are we making sure, are there the right checks and balances to make sure that the grants that are awarded do fit with how publicly funded grant program would administer and actually hand out those types of grants. And got some really good feedback. basically, as long as our grants, and I just paraphrased, provide, whether it's historical interest, supporting our July 4th fireworks would be a great example. Youth and elderly centers, events, those type of things, those are all acceptable expenditures of public funds. And then there is a law as well that does talk about advancing interests of the city. And that's probably the most broad category. But the one thing that came out of that discussion is as we do our CEP grant reviews and make grant selections, what I'm going to do is run those grants by an attorney just to make sure that those grants are eligible recipients. So I think that's a really good check and balance on our side, just to make sure that we're following the law and supporting our community. And then the last thing is the Project Home. That's kind of the Lakeshore Leadership Council initiative. I can't imagine that most people don't know about it now. It's a pretty big undertaking. And we're really looking at ways to support the homeless population in our area, kind of starting at City of Holland first, but we're moving it out because I think it would be a good idea for the entire MACC region to kind of have our zoning, our certain policies and procedures in place that kind of mirror one another, so we're not all over the place. And I think that's something that the MACC can provide as we work through this as a team. Right now, I'm helping support the enforcement side of things, which I learn something new every day on that side. There's so much to it; it's unbelievable. But as we really drill down into that, we think we're going to have, especially on the enforcement side, also working with the downtown business owners, a really good understanding and framework. And then we also have an outreach and a communications team that, again, pulling more people together to make sure that it's a concerted effort, that we're all working together to help that situation. So definitely been busy. Probably too busy, but it's good. That's a good thing. Question?
I just got a question, maybe it doesn't relate to this, maybe it does. The ESTA, Earned Sick Time Act, we find it kind of challenging, and we've been talking to MTA, so you work 30 hours and you get an hour off.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yep, that's how I read it.
So how do you do that with a volunteer fire department men? So and when do they say, I want my hour off, is when the bell rings and they gotta go out, I want my hour off? It doesn't seem real clear, and MTA doesn't have a good answer for that either. We want to be fair, we want to do what they want. But to apply or make that happen, there's not a real clear how that.
Right.
Because it also says you cannot pay them a wage. It's like, well, you are paying them a wage. They're not going to be there for an hour if they're sick, and you're going to pay them for that hour. But I guess I'm looking a little bit for the other townships, what you're doing with your volunteer fire department. We don't want to screw anybody. We're so grateful to have the volunteer
Right.
men and women that participate, and but we want to know what the right way is. If anybody's got a crystal ball on that, I'm all ears, and I'll talk to you later once again.
Oh, that's good. And
What we're doing is just basically trusting that our firefighters are not going to screw us by saying, oh, I'm sick this hour when I'm on call.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all.
Okay.
I think
So
we got
we are accruing 1 hour of sick pay for every 30 hours.
So that's simple. That's simple
That's a
math.
simple.
But when do you say you can take the hour now?
If they're not-
Or if it accumulates 10. To me, you write them a check for those 10 hours and move on.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
And they're saying, oh, that don't work, you can't do that. It's like, let's be practical here.
What's interesting is you can't pay them, but if they quit, they don't get the pay.
Well, that's another
That's
side.
another side of it. It's weird.
Right.
So anyway, we're just accruing the 1 hour for every 30 hours. We're going to see what happens.
so you could do at the end of the year, you could do a one-day volunteer
Everybody's-
conference, and everyone calls in sick.
Yeah, my understanding is we're doing similar to what Lake Town is doing. We are keeping track of all of it right now and going, we're not sure what we're gonna end up doing with all of that data, but we're accumulating all of that data right now.
Do you make a suggestion that it should go, that sick accumulated time should go to the supervisor?
I'm not making any suggestion what to do with the data yet, other than we're just keeping track of it on, that's what the city's doing right now.
That's February or whatever.
Yeah. We've just been keeping track of it, but we're not sure what to do with it yet. Yeah.
And have you heard of any further refinements to that law coming? Because I'm assuming that some things like that probably will require some amendments or something. No, that's good.
So because it's still in flux and they might amend it again, when I made the change to our employee manual, I just put, here's our standard sick pay, and Lake Town will comply
With, right.
EC,
That's good.
whatever's required. As opposed to putting the text of EC.
And then have to update it. Yep. No, that's good. No, that's really good. All right. And then I think the last thing I had is our draft budget. This is what you will see in the UWP that will be here in June for you guys to approve. Just a very modest increase in our consolidated planning grant, up to 363, so that's an additional $3,500, which is nice. Anytime you see an increase, that's good. You just don't want to see a decrease. And then our CMAC's unchanged, data collection, that's 17,000. That's what we use for our traffic counts. So that and then manipulating that data and making sure that it's all usable and readable. And then asset management, that's unchanged. So pretty straightforward. Right now, we don't foresee, obviously Safe Streets for All, that grant will be completed this year. We don't have any grants in the pipeline yet for next year, so there's nothing on that front in our draft budget. But very, very similar to this year's, minus the Safe Streets for All. So we probably don't need, I was going to say, we probably don't need a motion to approve the draft budget just yet. Because it'll be finalized in UWP, so yeah. But any questions on that? It all should look really similar to last year and the year before, which is good. I feel like we're now in a cadence, which is really nice. All right, I guess we're going to go around the room and do member comments. We'll start with our host.
Sure enough. Well, Board Sheldon Township, first of all, thanks for being here. No shortage of things to keep us busy around the township. We are nearing the completion of our master plan process. If everything goes right, we could be adopting that by August 13. The board will be receiving in our May meeting for distribution for our 63-day review period. So that'll be starting probably after that meeting. And then we have, if you haven't been watching the news at all, our power plant's closing, just to let you know that. Announced back in 2021, we've been preparing ever since, so it's not news to us. We've been preparing ahead of time, and part of our master plan process, we also contracted to do an economic resiliency response plan, which looked at the deep dive of the financials, and we're in, thankfully in really good shape moving forward. It turns out it's not a significant amount of our budget. It doesn't go to zero when the plant actually closes. Consumers hasn't indicated they're disposing of any properties. They are going to reinvest in some battery storage future forward, redevelop some other areas, and then this was also in the news. Ashcore is a company that has contracted with consumers to remediate the fly ash, which is a big depository of 60 years plus of the burned ash, and it's sitting just to the east side of Lakeshore Drive there, and so there'll be a 20-year plus project of removing that by train to utilize that in construction or in concrete manufacture. So that's a good thing. We're glad to see it go out of the township.
Are those trains going to come through Holland?
I think so.
Just for 20 years.
With that,
I thought we were done.
we're about 33 days away, I think is today from the actual closure. They are going to continue the pumps that circulate water through Pigeon Lake to the plant through November. So this year, when they shut down in November, could be the first year we see Pigeon Lake actually freeze over because they were circulating warm water back into the lake. So a bit of a change there. Also, let's see, what else we got here? Our Parks and Rec Committee recommended that we revise our 5-year Parks and Rec plan, and the board approved that. And we've hired a consultant to start that revision. So that'll open up the door for some grants for some park projects moving forward. And then thanks to the MACC for the transportation plan that helped inform our path maintenance for the summer. We've already taken that data, used that with on-site visits, and have scheduled out all of our path repairs. So thanks to the MACC, thanks guys for driving all the miles.
Thanks.
Very beneficial. So good benefit to the township. And let's see what else we have here. The existing rail, they're going to use that. That was, people were asking if there's going to be a lot more trucks. We are going to have some demolition, obviously, of the plant, and we've had some meetings with Road Commission about how we're going to handle that traffic and crossings and maybe some new signage on Lakeshore Drive there. So, yeah, so that's about it.
Nice. Al, you want to go next?
By the way, at the water quality forum where you answered those questions, you did a good job.
Good, appreciate that. Just kind of ready.
I'm sure all of you have heard of Tulip Time, and that's coming. Some may not have heard of the Dandelion Festival. I got to toot our horn, that's the big deal in our township, and it's back. It was off for COVID for a few years. Last year it came back for the first time. This year will be the second year back. And that event happens this week, Saturday on May 3, and we got to have some EMTs on site because there's so much excitement. And it's a nice event, and we're not sure if Donald Trump, our president, or J.D. Vance is going to show up, but we're excited to find out which it is.
There's a rumor.
It's hard to beat that. We have a road dive in our town.
Yes.
And so if you've been out to the state park, you've seen it. If you are on Facebook, my wife keeps me up to date with what's happening on Facebook. There's a lot of naysayers, but we'll see how it goes. And some people apparently are not following the lines. I drove it myself, so I don't know how you not follow the lines, but we'll see how it goes. And so it's finally happened, so thank you.
No, that's good. Thank you. That's great. Having that turn lane's that's a big safety improvement. Good.
Yeah, being south of the Dandelion Festival, where it really affects us too, Al. So we get the overflow and all the hotels fill up. Thank you. But anyway, Zealand, after 2 years of having construction in our downtown with the snow melt project, that is over with, so we do not have that. I'm sure the store owners appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And this year we're doing Taft Street for the complete rebuild, and we had some neighbors that weren't quite so happy because they had some new sidewalks put in front of their house, but that's all settled down too. So that's the main thing that's going on in Zealand. Come down for Memorial Day celebration on Memorial Day, of course, and we always have a nice parade and a really nice ceremony at the cemetery. So come on down and remember our service.
First of all, in solidarity, Al, I went ahead and left my lawn full of dandelions. Celebrating, so remember that. No, Lakeshore Advantage, busy season as always. One thing I did want to flag is we have a series of upcoming events, and actually they're year-round, but startup focus. We have a pitch competition this week at the Next Center in downtown Holland. We have an event called Unlocking AI, which is we're bringing our education sector together with some of our employers to talk about, what does the new AI technology look for people coming into the workforce. And the bottom line there's a lot happening, and if you haven't checked out the Next Center yet, please take a moment to go online, see the events, come attend something, flag me, I'll give you a tour. As a reminder, just because we're located in the city of Holland, which is wonderful, and I'm grateful for that, the program is available to anybody in our extended community that has a startup that is a high-tech startup or is a product-oriented startup. So we're just always trying to make sure and get out, there's education, resources available, and we'd love to talk to people if they have an idea and want to figure out how do they move that forward. So, that's what I got.
All right, any more MDOT?
Just one thing that I can say is, Holland's had a lot of projects the last few years. There's some big projects going on for miles in the next 5 years, so there's still work going on. I'm trying to keep you up to date with things that might affect your travel.
Thank you.
Yeah, to pile on to that, this is the first year in 3 years that you guys messing with our roads. So we're gonna miss you, but not that much.
That's how we left.
Thanks for all that. Just a couple things. They started moving dirt on the Prairie Woods Phase 2 and 3 part across from our town hall. So that project is moving forward. And our pathway that we're putting in on 76th and 74th between Byron and Adams is moving right along. The boardwalk bridges are mostly in, and now they're working on the path part, so that should be done by mid-summer.
Good. Ryan?
Well, MACC is getting ready for Tulip time. Luckily, we don't have to deal with the Dandelion Festival.
Yeah.
So, we're getting information put together. There's a little pop-up on our website about route closures. We'll be heavy on social media, communicating with the public on, where's my bus? Sorry, it's tough to get around, but the team's doing good. They're used to it. So hopefully we can get through it with little impact.
Good.
In the township, of course, it's road resurfacing season, so I don't forget how many miles we have resurfacing, but I know we're spending at least $500,000 on that. We did get with the county money, putting up a rest area at the end of Hawthorne Pond, which is right next to the Greenway Trail. And so that was a combined effort, and I think that's a $1.2 million renovation, extending the path, putting up new restrooms, and I think a small picnic area as well. So I think that's going to go in this year. We're getting the bids for that anyway. And then been busy hiring directors. So we got a new Parks and Rec director. I'll be busy at Hawthorne as well as all the other parks. And then our community center director, Ben Bekas, who's on TV8, talking about the new community center. Unfortunately, it's going to be delayed probably about a month, so we were hoping at the end of June, but now it's more likely the end of July. And we'll more than likely be having a grand opening right around September. So we get all the kinks worked out, hopefully, and make it a big community event and get a lot of people out there. I think that's about it.
Good.
Okay, yeah, Blue Star Highway's coming along good. So I just took a walk down yesterday and saw crushed and leveled. I think there'll be paving this week, I think, I don't know. But that looks good. On that same corridor, looks like our water situation's come along. We got petitions being written as we speak. So if we get enough signatures, that should be a go-ahead. After 30 years, we might finally get water there. So, but yeah, and we did did participate in a Zoom meeting. I think Mandy, you were on there too. It was the Allegan County water, basically. There was talk of maybe the Hamilton area, maybe setting up their own wastewater treatment plant, maybe a possibility. Looking at different ways of funding it. I think the USDA, their 40-year loan thing might be the best possibility for that, but there's also a lot of activity on that. There's a lot of people involved on that. So, yeah. thanks for your part of that too, so, yeah. So I guess that's all I have, so.
I have nothing, thanks. I have nothing.
All right. I got to check out that Tulip Time Festival you guys keep talking about.
Competition.
Big plans for this weekend at the Dandelion Festival. But in all seriousness, I'm excited. We got 600,000 people coming in over the course of the next 10 days. City doesn't put on the festival. We handle a lot of the logistics. But one of the things that we take really seriously is security. And I don't know if folks know that we shortened the Saturday parade by almost a mile this year in response to what happened in New Orleans. And I think probably most of you have heard about what happened in Vancouver over the weekend. And if you've been in the downtown area at any point in the last few weeks, you probably noticed 130 cement barricades in the area. Our police department has been on high alert. We also have the state in. We also have federal authorities in. Downtown Holland is probably going to be one of the safest places to be anywhere in the world during the festival. But we are still very, very concerned because they only have to be right once. We have to be right all of the time. But we're going to do our very, very best to keep everybody as safe as possible. Luckily, just about everybody has been on our side and understanding about the safety protocols that we've had to put in place and the changes that we've had to make, but we are going to have an absolutely spectacular year this year. Mother Nature has also been on our side this year. If you've been downtown in recent days, the tulips are absolutely perfect, as I have predicted since this time last year. I started saying last June that the tulips would be perfect this year, and they are going to be absolutely perfect this year, and the weather forecast is great for that. As I said, 600,000 people coming in. The junk food wagons are starting to pop up around the downtown area as well, and as we have seen from people driving the wrong way down one-way streets and crossing against the light, all of the time, people have started arriving already. So please come down. After you visited the Dandelion Festival, please come downtown Holland as well.
Well, I've already taken out a second mortgage on my home to support my elephant ear addiction.
Yes, that's what we like to hear.
I'm ready to go.
Thank you.
The county's doing great. We are accepting applications for administrator right now. So we are deep into that process, and we are also having many department level budget discussions. So we are in budget season already. So those are the two majors, but this is a great time to be in Ottawa County, part of West Michigan. So excited to just enjoy it.
Not to overshadow my dear friends at the Dandelion Festival, but the airport is sponsoring a fly-in on the same day, Saturday, May 3rd, this coming. And invite you to take one of these cards with you for your township hall. As of this morning, we have had 28 aviators confirmed if they are going to come for the fly-in, and we have 250 who have indicated an interest in it. We will be providing transportation from the airport down to the Chamber of Commerce office parking lot. Between 8th and 9th Street across from DeVos Fieldhouse. And so we'll be bringing in visitors for the area and not adding to the traffic congestion. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing them in.
Yeah, and so we're excited about this. This is the third year we've done it. And again, confirming about the weather forecast, I saw that it's going to be 65 and sunny on Saturday. So that's great for flying, and hopefully we'll see even more come in. One other thing that will happen between now and our next meeting, hopefully, is we'll break ground on putting in a electric aircraft charging station on our tarmac. We'll be one of 4 airports in Michigan to have that. The others being Traverse City, Lansing, of course, and Willow. So that's a good project. And then later this summer, we'll break ground on our first major construction project in 9 years. We're building a new taxiway north of our business center terminal so that we can attract some more development for private hangars to the airfield. That's a $6 million project that we have to match up to basically $300,000, and we have savings to do it thanks to the leadership of Mayor Kleinstruck when he was the chair of the authority.
Is the airport going to be able to handle all the extra things with the Evangeline Festival?
Sure, yeah. I don't know if
The jumbo jet's coming in.
Hotels are all booked already.
Lake Town, just because Jim's right next to me, Jim and I are trying to work on developing a plan to make Lake Town a member of the Airport Authority.
You're here.
So give us a couple of years to work on that. And I have 3 open positions that I'm trying to hire for. One is assessor. Our assessor is leaving as May 30th to go to work for Kent County. We have an administrative assistant deputy treasurer role that we have gotten an enormous number of applicants for. And we also have a building and grounds person who's leaving at the end of June. So I spent a lot of time interviewing. I usually get asked, how long are you going to be here as the manager? Because people want to know if they take a job with me, who's going to be their manager if I'm not there in a month or so. So the Board of Trustees is going to address the question of my duration as the interim manager at our second Wednesday meeting in May. So Felton Mansion has 3 outdoor concerts that are free this summer. You're welcome to come. July 10, July 17, and July 24, a variety of different performers. We have interurban bus service starts on Thursday. My next step is to get with Ryan and the director of the interurban. We need to see where we can have some transfer points between the interurban from Saugatuck, Douglas, Saugatuck Township, Fenville, up through Lake Town, where we can do transfer points, where we meet at the City of Holland border. There's a lot of other things going on, but those are the highlights.
All right, that's, I think, a wrap then. Any other comments? Then I'm looking forward to seeing you guys June 2nd. That's really important because we got to pass our UWP and our budget and TIP. That's a big meeting. Other than that, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. All right, support?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.